Hey guys, welcome back. Family conference of the previous year, October 5th, 1985. The rose garden was truly splendid this year. The roses were blooming like crazy as if competing with each other. In that rose garden, Kento, Ken, and Natsuki could be seen. Once again, the flowers have grown wonderfully this year. It must be the result of your care. Thank you very much. The weather just happened to be good this year. Thanks to your care, the garden is even more beautiful than usual. Good work. Thank you very much. If today weren't so special, we might have been able to admire the roses while enjoying some black tea. Kenzo shrugged. Today was the family conference. When it came to the other siblings' business, none of them the news had been good. On the contrary, the siblings had probably planned to turn the conversation to the topic of Kenzo's remaining life and hold a quiet feud over the inheritance. Those people are quite unpleasant. By the way, what about Cross? Is that debt repayment a plan of his proceeding well? It does seem to be a realistic plan. However, it's a plan on quite a large scale. It doesn't seem to be bearing fruit quite as well as he expected. If possible, I would have hoped that resolved before today's family conference. Yes, my apologies. Are you sure it's okay, Kenzo? Casually walking around in a place like that. How has she gotten up there? Well, it's fairly pointless to wonder about that sort of thing when you're dealing with a witch. Beatrice was casually sitting on the roof of the arbor, almost as though she had been basking in the sun. Those relatives are like a massive lump of the magic-resisting toxin, and they'll be intruding on us. If you bump into them, your soul will evaporate in an instant. I am already dead. Evaporating will be no deterrent. We can't have that happen. Please, for the sake of the Ushimiya family, lend us your strength just a little longer. Natsuhi, it seems the boat carrying the relatives has left the arbor. Perhaps it's about time to bring it into this walk of yours. Is that so? Thank you. Please return to the study, Father. My, how tiresome to go back inside when the weather is just perfect. Don't grumble, Kenzo. Right now you're nothing more than a ghost I gave life to. It'll be troublesome for both me and Natsuki if you're scared away by the toxin. Just be a good boy and shut yourself away in the study and wrap a blanket around yourself or something. Merely receiving a chance to enjoy these roses after death makes me an extremely fortunate man. I understand. I shall return to the study. But I would like some black tea. Can and tell Genji to bring me some. Perhaps some Marco Polo would do well today. Certainly. Then let us go our separate ways, Atsuhi. You must conduct the family conference splendidly in my absence. Of course, Father, he can't say in front of them, but my husband is already the Ushimiya family head, and I will do all I can to ensure that I don't embarrass him as his wife. Compared to Kraus, who's had his stomach ache since this morning, you are so very composed, Atsuhi. My son is quite hopeless. My husband is talented in his own way. Supporting him where he's weak is my duty as his wife. Indeed, carry out your task with precision. I will make sure to stay shut away so that I don't get in the way of his farts. Can I go with Father to the study and then have Genji prepare some black tea? I'm not so senile that I need your help to stand up. Here I go. Refusing Ken's attempt to lend him my hand, Kenzo rose from the flower bed he had been sitting on. The retired head left everything in Natsuhi's hands and returned to the study at a gentle pace. You're looking well. You possess a sense of dignity reminiscent of Kenzo's deceased wife. On the off chance that the magic-resisting toxin does reach Father, will the magic dissolve in an instant? Indeed, in the blink of an eye, I can vanish whenever I please. But if someone already damages Kenzo loses his form, he'll be instantly tossed away like dust by the winds of the sun. You must take care. Yes, I understand. You may have talent as a witch. The magic-resistant toxin has been building up in your system over the years, and yet you are still able to understand magic. If you and I had met during your youth, you might have become a powerful witch by now. I am the wife of Ushimiya across the family head. I would become even a witch or demon to protect his honor. I am deeply grateful for the power of your magic. I wouldn't have been able to protect the honor of the Ushimiya family without you. Let's discuss that at another time. I like to enjoy it with just the two of us women drinking tea. A friend of mine who went to Sri Lanka sent me some black tea with a wonderful rose fragrance. Oh, you mean Dimbula? That isn't bad. And you should have also some pictures on the side. You must serve me some as a reward if I manage to drink one for this entire family conference. It's a promise. Understood, I promise. Then I'll see you later. Yes, later. The witch made her body crumble into the wrestling winds, become cold flower petals, and scattered them in the air. Natsuhi watched her go, then turned on her heels and headed for the mansion. And then there were none left in the rose garden. Okay then, it's break time. Got any complaints so far? None at all. If you have to pee, why not just go and do it? What a rude thing to say. Kenzo's already dead, right? Oh, there's the red text. But he's walking around and talking, isn't he? Doesn't that mean that this is magic? Of course, I thought this would work on you after all this time burned. But what about you, Battler? Is it this weird? Don't you have to accept the existence of the magic that revived Kenzo? Yeah. If you're trying to imitate Bieto, it's pissing me off, so stop it right now. He figured it out. Then come on, how are you going to answer a Battler? Kenzo was just for a stroll. When I act like you always do and start holding your head crying, this makes no sense. Commonly said, oh, it's all useless catchphrase, and then give me one of your classic nonsensical kind of arguments. It's not a human who's supposed to be dead could be walking around, right? Is this all because of some unknown virus called the Rokujima syndrome that causes mass delusions? Or do the skills of mysterious form of the butterfly that only lives on the Rokujima happen to be hallucinogenic? Or is it all because of a mysterious secret organization called the Mountain Dogs made an as of yet undiscovered drug called Puru Pico Puyo, which causes mass delusions? I mean, hear tons of this wonderful crap. Yeah, just shut up. This isn't even a problem. Grandfather is dead at this point in time. There's no way he exists. The only reason he's able to act like he's alive like this is because of Natsuhi's lie, her attempt to make it through the family conference while hiding grandfather's death. Oh, it's Natsuhi's lie. Can you revive the dead by lying? Wouldn't that make it Natsuhi's magic? This world is like a brown tube before you've looked in it. It's the world of the cat box before you open it. As long as Natsui says she took a walk with grandfather, and as long as no one can confirm that it's a lie, it's impossible despite Natsui taking a walk in the rose garden with grandfather. That's Natsui's reality. That means it's possible for grandfather to appear. Clap, clap, clap. The extremely unflattering applause was coming from Birkenstow. Bravo, you're much calmer without Bito around. Quiet, you shut up too. Wait a second, Battler. According to your theory, sure it might be really possible for Kenzo to appear if Natsui's the only person there. And Natsui claims to have observed Kenzo in a world with no one except Natsui in it, then no one can deny it, right? But Kennen was in the same place and was also looking at Kenzo, right? How would you explain that? That's no problem at all. Kennen is a servant who works for Ushimiya family, and Natsui probably ordered him to keep her story so that she could hide from grandfather's death. Because of that, Kennen can see grandfather even though he shouldn't exist, just like Natsuhi can. Too bad, Lambda. Battler isn't going to fall for that kind of child's play anymore. Seems so. Well, this is nothing more than an opening before the game's really started. Like an aperitif before a meal. An appetizer at a bar, green tea at a sushi restaurant. Shut up. So we aren't going to get anywhere unless I say it again in blue text, huh? Looks like it. Would you mind? The reason grandfather's strolling around like nothing happened even though he's already dead is that people who want to make it seem as though he's alive created an illusion of him. People who think the same way can share in that illusion. Then they'll talk as though grandfather actually exists and was with them until a second ago. That's why he's strolling around like a perfectly natural. Because of this delusion, the grandfather is unable to appear in front of people who aren't in on this with Natsuhi. That's why they made up the story of him shutting himself away in the study and refusing to come out. In the games before now, grandfather has always locked himself up in the study. We never met him directly. However, some people said things that made us think he was locked up in his study in a bad mood. such as claiming that I met him only a short while ago, while we blindly accepted their statements and believed that grandfather was in the study. That's why it was possible for an illusion of grandfather to exist in the study. That's right, in the games before and now, the only people who met grandfather were Uncle Cross, Anatsuhi, and the servants, because they all stuck to the same story, and the illusion of grandfather was able to exist on this island, making it seem like he was alive. You even showed us a scene at the beginning of this game where Natsuhi convinced Dr. Najo and the rest to cover grandfather's death. I'm not gonna fall for a cheap trick like that after all this time. Well, not bad, but I was hoping for the nano-drug Pico Puyo. There's no way he sees something so ridiculous, right? After all, supposing that such a thing exists would just be as bad as surrounding into the fantasy genre, whether it's a virus or a drug or an illness. Anything that hasn't been discovered yet is a violation of Nox's fourth commandment. What do you mean, fourth commandment? Nox's fourth is forbidden for unknown drugs or difficult to understand scientific devices to be used. The rule states that such things can't be used during a murder. What the hell? Unknown drug X and unknown scientific device X should be the best kinds of weapons to use when fighting against the witch. That's what I'm talking about. All of those violate the rules of a proper mystery. Supposing an unknown virus, an unknown drug, an unknown sickness, or an unknown XXX was used puts it totally in the fantasy genre. My condolences. If it was your theory, then it's game over for you. Hey, what are you talking about? You think you've been fighting in direct opposition to Beato, but that's not actually true. You haven't been in direct opposition. You've been fighting along with her from a slightly different angle. All this is playing detective. You've done hasn't been fantasy versus mystery. It's only been fantasy versus anti-fantasy. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. But there's one thing I do get. It sounds like you're saying there's something wrong with my fighting style. We're fighting to kill the fantasy known as Illusion of the Witch. That means interpreting this tale as a proper mystery. In other words, from the very start we have to ignore any and all elements that violate the taboos of the mystery genre. Ignore, you say. For example, several close-room murders have occurred in the games before now, right? Yeah. After every single crime scene, you enthusiastically check with Beato to make sure there are no hidden doors, right? Then that leads to the flashy bunch of red troops weaving together all over the place, almost as though that itself is the battle. I call that a waste of time. After all, it's clearly specified in Nox's third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. In the mystery genre, hidden passages mustn't exist. So if you want to interpret everything as a proper mystery, entering this whole debate over whether there are hidden doors or not means you've lost from the beginning, see? After all, there aren't any. As soon as you suspect that might exist, it's already game over for you. In other words, you assume you can't start theory building just because no one's yet proven that hidden doors don't exist at the crime scene. That's why I call you naive and a failure at the mystery genre. You've already lost once you start thinking that. You thought you were waging a fight to interpret everything like a mystery novel, right? Then you got to follow the conventions of the mystery genre. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Hidden doors will not exist at any of the crime scenes. That means any time spent asking whether they exist or not is wasted. I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard about it somewhere. Is this like the 10 basic rules for mystery novels or something? Yeah, that's right. There are the 10 wedges for drilling witches brandished by the Nox, the peerless archbishop of witch hunting. Those are the true weapons with which to fight and defeat the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch head on. It's just like you, Burn. To bring in such a troublesome weapon, that's the fantasy genre's arch enemy. So you'll deny the existence of hidden doors right from the start without even investigating the crime scene. That's just more like fantasy to me. Lambda, who's in charge of the witch's side, is fantasy. I'm the one who's fighting her mystery. What are you? You're just barely anti-fantasy, doing nothing but dodging over and over and denying fantasy. You oppose absolutely everything, but you can't make any counter-proposals. You're like a politician from some country. Shut up. I don't come here to speak gibberish with you two. Continue the story right now. Be quiet. That sleeping princess behind you looks like she's in pain, doesn't she? When he turned around, he saw Beeto's living corpse resting in a chair. However, her sweat glistened all over her body and felt like she was breathing a little harder than normal. She looked as though she was suffering from a high fever. Beato, what's wrong? Are you okay? What do you mean, is she okay? You sure do say some weird things. Aren't you fighting to kill this girl? We were on this fifth game for your benefit, but right now Burn has to do a good job cornering her opponent and is about to break through the illusion of the witch. Her existence has been almost completely denied. It's only natural. Oh shit, I didn't mean to hit skip. Sorry guys, you just pause it if you want to read that last line. Just now, even he special illusion of the witch by saying there's no way Kenzo exists. Here's proof that you attacked Richibirito. This agony of hers. I tried to at least wipe away the sweat on Birito's forehead with the handkerchief. It's true, I promised Birito that I'd let her die. But it was supposed to happen peacefully. I was planning to make her suffer first. My goal isn't to make the sleeping Birito suffer like this before killing her. As if they didn't see right through my mixed feelings. The two witches grinned. Dad only overheard because you kept yelling about the inheritance, right, Aniki? It isn't my fault. It was just an unlucky coincidence, okay? You just happened to be in a corridor and heard it was an accident. I tell you, an accident. Could you two give it a rest? Just call it our bad luck this time and give it up. If you leave a man alone, his mood will pop right back into normal. Hopefully, Father's feelings were hurt so much that he writes up some strange will. Dolo took a deep breath and fell silent. Hey, you can't jump it on either, Mariah. Well, you do if Anshan falls. Sorry to keep you waiting. The boat is ready. Okay, let's go. Won't get anywhere by complaining now. We usually wait your return to this island. Guys, I am gonna go get me a cup of water or something real quick. Oh, I'm back 20 minutes later, but I got a nice breather and some cold water, so let's do this. Natsui was sitting on the bench in the rose garden, looking completely worn out. However, when she noticed that Kennen and Kumasawa were coming back, she immediately sat up straight, regaining the dignity of the head's wife. Did the boat leave? Yes, it departed just a minute ago. I see. Good job seeing them off. What is my husband doing? He returned to his room a short while ago. He is resting. Since the previous day, Cross had been almost overwhelmed by anxiety over the threat that Kenzo's death might be discovered. When the family conference ended, his weariness must have suddenly gotten hold of him. However, the way he had refused to let even a silver of his true intentions slip out, the manner in which he had managed to act as though everything was normal, showed that Cross's nerve was nothing to sneeze at. How was it? They seemed to notice anything suspicious about Father? Not at all. Even Sama and the rest were having a big ruckus over the master overheard them talking about the inheritance, right? Wasn't their panicking just priceless? Yes. They were quite shaken up. But Kumasawa, you really are quite an actress. The way you acted all panicked in the corridor made it seem like Father really was there. Kumasawa-san is quite talented at this sort of thing. Ooh, come now, I don't deserve such praise. Ho ho ho. Hee hee hee, I always have to give Genji strict orders not to easily swallow your stories when you call in sick. No, that's just too harsh, madame. Oh. You really did a good job. Both of you as well, Genji and Shannon. We will get your pay for a month's worth of pacification time as well as 5 extra days just as promised. Consider this a confidential benefit. Talk with Genji when you collect all your pay so the other servants don't find out. Sure we understand, right? Kumasawa-san, your voice is too loud. Oh, not good, not good. Good point. Let's leave at it for that time being. We should all return to our regular duties. That's right, I've had Goto prepare some special tea. Tell him to serve it. Natsuhi let them know she wanted to be left alone for a while so she could drink some black tea in the rose garden. The black tea had been carried all the way to the bench. Was the Sri Lankan tea dimbala that she had promised to be to along with some patis? Sitting on either side of the snack, staring at her curiously, the wife of the head in her, which could be seen. So this is patis. I just assumed it would be some kind of big sweet. Apparently, Natsui not realizing that it had a curry-like spicy flavor, started choking at to put it in her mouth. To describe it in Japanese terms, it was like fried dumplings stuffed with mashed curry-flavored potatoes. As a household dish, it would probably be pretty popular with the kids. However, it was a bit of a shock to Natsuhi, who expected that a treat to go with tea would be sweet. Didn't you know? Dimbula always goes with this. Black tea always goes with cookies. Oh, but chocolate is good too. You must have sweet bean jelly with Japanese tea, although salted kombu also works. Chinese tea goes with Chinese dumplings, though I like mooncakes too. I'm surprised. You know a lot about various cultures, don't you? Well, I haven't been living 1,000 years for nothing. I've tried refined teas from all over the world. Perhaps you could call it a journey through the world of tea. That does seem like it would be a wonderful way to travel the world. Before today, I never knew that one could enjoy tea like this. I will treasure this experience. I cannot leave Okanjima. This is the only way I can travel. What about you? I'm sure you've elegantly traveled the world like any wealthy wife might. Before Jessica was born, my husband took me to many countries. Before marrying, I never once traveled overseas, so each time was a fresh and new experience. Sounds like you were also born to a very wicked family. It was strict, but they gave me a wonderful upbringing. It would be rude to my father and mother to call that rigid, but it's a pretty eloquent way to call it rigid cackle. Cross might have pitied Natsuhi, or he might have wanted to take her away from the rigid future of her family for a little bit and let her rest. Or he might simply have wanted to take his wife around countries he knew well to show off everything he knew. Unlike father, my husband is fond of Asian nations. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Thailand. I think we also went to Malaysia. That cross, he was trying to rebel against Kenzo's Western taste. But Asia's good too. After all, the Japanese are strongly influenced by the West. When I think of foreign countries, only Western ones come to mind. But you mustn't forget the East. I myself knew a few things about the West, but I knew very little about the East. I seem to recall my husband making fun of me now and then during our travels. Bito suddenly appeared to Natsui's heart as the latter grumbled that the trips had all been very tiring. Are you listening? This is called an Areca nut, Arcia nut? I don't know. It's a popular luxury food item around here. It looked like a small, round, gourd-like nut that had been smashed with cucumber wedged in it. At a glance, it looked as though it probably tastes like pickles. I see, so I just bite it here? As she tried to bite one her husband was holding. He suddenly moved it away. It felt like kind of embarrassed, like she was a fish after some bait. Well, wait up. You had to eat it a certain way. Yes, you were supposed to bite it, chew it, but don't swallow it. Huh? Even though you bite and chew it, you can't swallow it? Yes, bite and chew, don't swallow, and don't drink the juice. It'll make your stomach hurt. I don't understand. Why would you eat something like that? Think of it as something like gum. Chew it and enjoy the flavor. Then take the scraps you bitten and the juice and spit out into a paper cup like this. The inside of your mouth is bright red. Wipe it off. Eek! Even her favorite handkerchief, which she had wiped Scott's mouth with, had bright red marks on it, so they're not poisonous. If eaten or drunk, it makes it inside of your mouth so bright red, and having to spit something out after you put it in your mouth, how indecent. Thanking this, Latui admittedly refused Cross's invitation. No way, I don't need any. This is cross-culture experience. What's the point of traveling if you don't do things that can only be done here? Cross kept chewing, ignoring the fact that even his lips were being colored bright red. Father likes these too. He must have ordered them long ago because he used to chew away at them on the mansion terrace. Although it seems he stopped ever since you arrived. Look here, Father, the person you respect even more than me enjoyed all these all the time. Look, don't be shy, take some. No, stop it, dear. During travel across to the innocence of a child, he didn't even conceal his jealousy of the respect that Sui normally gave Kenzo. Just being able to see the sight of her husband made traveling all the way to another country worthwhile. Cross urged her even harder to bite it, but Natsuya, undaunted, ran from place to place and finally yelled that he was being too pushy. Cross was amazed the whole bus ride. What a child, a little thing like this, get him down. Natsuki thought exasperatedly. Then a native tour guide in the bus took out one of those Orica nuts and started explaining about it. It had apparently been a beloved luxury item in these parts since ancient times, similar to tobacco. Just like in Natsuki's case, it was starting to be disliked by young people and was becoming obsolete. Furthermore, it was treated as a good luck charm in this area and was known as a symbol for couples. She looked at her husband's face. He turned away abruptly, but it looked like his cheeks had gotten a little red. So, you leaned on your husband and held his hand, did you? What the heck? You and your husband share a pretty pure love, don't you? Did you get all fired up? You know, like that night? Her face and avoiding Beato's eyes, Natsuki tried to hide her embarrassment by swallowing the patted toe, chewing with her cheeks puffed out like a blowfish. Beato said, "Yep, this is the best duck anyone could have with tea," and nodded several times as brought a smile on her face. However, that's only how it was when we were newlyweds. Right now, I cannot even leave Okajima. I'm a bird in a cage. Well, it's the same for me. I can keep dying, but I just can't escape Okajima. I'm also a bird in a cage. I don't know much about you, and I won't pry. However, I do see that your face circumstances not to be taken lightly. I have no desire to act like a chief prisoner here. Let's be friendly as fellow birds in this cage. I take an liking to you. Really. Thank you. The instructions and orders gave the servants for this family conference were superb. You took everything from what Kenzo would be and when and what he did and what he left behind and put it all together splendidly without any contradictions. That detailed written plan of yours had the same beauty as a high-level magic circle. They make it look like Kenzo actually existed and was living life his own way. She had written his schedule for the day down to the finest detail and made servants follow it to the letter. When did he meet whom and where, and where did he leave them? When did he do it, where, and what changed? As a result, even though the relatives never saw Kenzo even once, they hadn't suspected in the slightest that he had been there. Even the rest truly believed that Kenzo had just happened to be walking through the hall when he heard them talking about the inheritance and went into a rage. Everything had gone as just Natsuki's plan had predicted, down to the finest detail, and the cooperation by the servants had also worked smoothly down to the finest detail. We had to stop the secret from getting out no matter the cost. That's why I double-checked the plan thoroughly. Your willpower and attention to detail summoned the success with certainty. As a witch, it seems that you're in Lady Lambda Delta's camp. At your current level, as soon as you become self-aware of that as magic, you'll be worthy of calling yourself a witch apprentice. If he calls something like that magic, then that would make Kuma suffer the witch of fanged illnesses. It's only on busy days that she calls us to say that she's taking the day off because of her bad back, like every year's family conference, for example. Oh no, you got Kuma-sama completely wrong there. She's a witch of a much higher level. If you knew what she really was, it'd shock you. Okay, I thought it froze for a second. Watching these two have their pleasant chat was another pair with steam rising from their black tea. However, this second pair was in a world that the first couldn't see, where the golden roses bloomed. Rona was kind enough to make us some of that blood tea too. It felt as though Bito muttered something. For the first time, I felt as though something had gone through to her. Surely she had taken an interest in the black tea and felt like drinking it. Thinking this, Bettler took Bito's cup, her hand making her hold the cup. Bito's eyes trembled sadly and her fingers shook. Almost as though she couldn't even move her fingers as she wanted to, and was mourning the fact that she could no longer enjoy the tea she had once loved by her own power. That's how she looked. So Bettler put his hand up to Bito, grabbed one of her teacups, and lifted it to her lips. Then, though it was only a single mouthful, Bito sipped. The taste had been locked in a killing fest with dread swords and blue wedges. Already seemed like the distant past. Not only was Bito unable to do that, it was even difficult for her to make her body do as she pleased. Even when she just drinking a mouthful of black tea like this was hard. How is it? And that rose aroma makes for a great black tea. Do you like it? Of course, Bito didn't respond. What happened to you? Is this another strategy? Are you pretending to be in the slum so you can shock me later? If that's what you're after, the same trick won't work again, so give it a rest. I can't get fired up with you like this. Hey, isn't it about time for you to start laughing loudly, saying, "Cut, you dumbass," or something? Any kind of joke stops being funny if you check it out too much, especially if it's a rehash. Laugh just like you're cackling over there as you drink with Natsuhi. Can't you at least grin? Never again. This child will never laugh again. Those sudden words were exceedingly cruel. How can you say that for sure? And don't you try to take Bito's right to laugh away from her? Oh, should I say it in red then? I shook my head furiously then, with an expression that didn't reveal her thoughts in the slightest. Burke still spoke while looking at Bito's face, and the word she used was completely incomprehensible to me. Congratulations. For what? Bito is like this as a result of your victory. What are you talking about? You said something interesting in the previous game. You said this would be torture where you both torment each other. That was right. It's torture for Bito as well, and you won that torture game. That's why Bito's soul was killed while she became a doll-like corpse. Are you saying I did this to Bito? That battle ends when one of you loses the will to try and win. As far as the battle between me and Bito goes, that was already concluded in the previous game. Well, it's probably happened without you noticing, though. In that case, why is it the game ended if I've already won? Why is this game still continuing? The shackle attached to that girl's ankle. That's a rule Lambda made. Even if Beatrice tries to yield or gets discouraged or gives up, she is incapable of stepping down from the game. That's the rule, or maybe it's a curse. In the past, I supported you when it looked like you were going to give in. Though you probably couldn't perceive it, I assisted you by giving you hints and making things go your way. That's why you're able to be here now. Remember how I saved you? Brigham still stared at me. It's true I wasn't aware of it, but just maybe I was saved by her. In the same way, Lambda is supporting Bito, and this time Bito is on the verge of giving in. That's why Lambda's been giving her support this round to keep her from giving in. That's what the shackle is. By refusing to let her resign, she's rescued Bito within the game. Rescued her from what? Normally, there are only two ways for this game to end. Either one side will accept defeat and resign, or one side will win the game with a checkmate. Bito is about to collide with the first way. That's why Lambda crushed that chance and managed to just barely avoid losing. By the rules of this game, that's an impressive bit of support. So the only way to end this game now is if I win. As if, at the very least, until I do win, this witch called Lambda Delta could probably try to buy time for Bito to make a comeback, but that'll just prolong Bito's suffering even more. Neither of us want that. Both Bito and I fought with all he had trying to win. The game repeated several times because we were both giving everything we could muster. Then that one time we confronted each other head on with all of our strength, and Bito acknowledged her loss. She said she wanted me to end this game and entrusted everything to me. So Burkesell's words are the truth. She said it's my fault Bito's becoming a living corpse. That's true. But it's something both of us wanted. Our match has already been resolved, even so the game won't end. That's why Bito put her trust in me. She told me to win quickly and end this game. Now that game's been resolved, letting it continue any further means endless torture for Bito. Nothing more than a nightmare. I gotta give her protection. I've got to give her a perfect checkmate in this game in the truest sense, and let her rest in peace. For that reason, I'll keep fighting. But by continuing the game, Bito's eternal torture will continue. It felt as though I could only let her sleep peacefully by slowly strangling her to death. I'm starting to feel like the truth doesn't matter anymore. As long as Bito's satisfied, who cares what happens in the game? Bito resigned. I'll abandon the truth of the illusion of the witch and return home with my family. Is there anything wrong with that? If only Lambda Delta hadn't placed a curse with that shackle on her, this battle would be over already. That's why I found it detestable. The game, which I can't finish without tormenting Bito more, is detestable. What's this? The Bito's starting to look like she's in pain every time you get closer to the truth. So you're suddenly going easy on her? Then go easy on her as much as you can. And why don't you just let Bito win while you're at it? Then your little sister can have a lonely, tragic future forced on her endlessly. That's not how it is. That's right. I have to return for Angie's sake as well. I know this isn't the time to start feeling compassion for Bito. In that case, make sure you kill her. Kill this witch without fail. Even though Bito was right there, Burke still spoke without holding back. Your goal is to kill this woman. In the last game, you said it at Bito's request. You said, I'll kill you. Yeah, that may be true, but that doesn't mean you get to complain about it. Did you know when you tear one of your fingernails out, it's better to do it in one go? Pulling it out like you do, timidly twisting and slowly hurts much more. What you're doing sounds much more like torture to me. If you have any compassion, kill her all at once. That's how killing works. That's none of your business. I'm the one who gets to decide how to perform her last rites. You and that Lambda Delta witch have nothing to do with this. I'll kill her. I won't let anyone else do it. As long as you don't lose that willpower, I'm betting on you, okay? Make sure you don't forget. Unless this game is resolved, you will never be released. You won't be allowed to abandon this game either. I get it. I know what Lambda's after. She wants to make you lose your will to fight, just like Beato. To make you a pair of living dolls to keep this world in perpetual equilibrium. You don't want that, do you? I won't like it either. Why should I give a damn about what you want? Still, I won't throw this game away. I won't abandon my responsibility to fight against Beato. I'm glad our goals are the same, so you'll be able to kill this child without any hesitation, right? That's right. I have no way of knowing whether those words eased her pain or hurt her, but I could tell by the dull tingling in my chest that I surely believe I've hurt her. I have no way of knowing what the silent Beato feels. If I think I've hurt her, does that mean she's actually been hurt? And if I didn't think I'd hurt her, would that mean no one's gotten hurt because of me? So, what about that Beato who's drinking tea over there with Natsuhi? You can handle that, right? Yeah, no problem. If that's same as what was with Kenzo, Beatrice doesn't exist. This is a fake illusion of a witch that Natsuhi created, so she believes she was borrowing a witch's power when she thought of a brilliant plan to overcome a hardship. It only looks like they're drinking tea together because Lambda Delta, who's the game master, and the one telling the story, interpreted it that way. If you could stare at this scene without a fragment of love for Natsuhi, you wouldn't see an illusion like that. That's with my eyes, all I can see is Natsuhi all alone drinking her tea in silence. Without love, it cannot be seen. Because love is lacking, it cannot be seen. You're looking at a daydream Natsuhi's showing us. Beatrice doesn't exist there. Ugh. Beato mumbled softly. It was a small voice that made it sound like she was in pain. The thorn that Perkisel's truth had been stabbed into her chest. Yeah, that's probably true. I think your theory's right. But don't say that in front of Beato. It doesn't matter where I say it. This is Beato's world we're in. Also, it's not like I'm protecting Beato, but it's still possible that Natsuhi really is drinking tea with someone unknown person X who calls themselves Beatrice. This scene takes place a year before everything. The number of people on this island on this day has never been shown with the red truth. Sure, even Lambda hasn't said anything I've read about the number of people on Rokujima on this day. In that case, it's possible for Natsuhi to claim that she really did drink the tea with a woman calling herself Beatrice. Just like I can't deny your theory, you can't deny mine. That means you can't say for sure whether the Beato there is an illusion or not. Oh, is this a cat box theory? That might have worked on Beato, but it won't work on me. Why not? After all, Natsuhi's drinking tea all by herself right there. There was a violent sound of glass breaking, and the Beato who laughed happily and cracked jokes about Natsuhi's newlywed years was erased. A lonely wind blew, and the one person who remained at the bench drinking tea with tired expression was Aunt Natsuhi, all by herself. Ugh. Beato groaned. I could see clearly that she was in anguish. Another illusion of the witch had been smashed, drawing Beato towards death. In short, this is what the battle to let Beato rest in peace was all about. A second ago, Perkisol or fight to the torture of tearing fingernails out. If I had to tear them out anyway, then my last bit of compassion towards Beato should be to minimize that pain. In other words, even if I want to minimize her pain, I still have to cause it. I had to accept the look of anguish on her face, and at the same time, I realized what a merciless thing red truth was. Right now in this rose garden, there's no one except Natsuhi. In other words, there are no observers except for Natsuhi. So if that lone observer were to say that she had some tea with Beato, no one should be able to refute that. If there's someone no one can deny, does that mean it's truth? And Natsuhi's enjoying the roses and drinking tea together with Beato. How could anyone have the right to mercilessly trample that pleasant moment? The red truth is like a blade. In battle with the witch, it's a blade that sometimes tears your theories apart, but sometimes becomes a weapon you can fight back with. I know, so what? Don't use it without reason. A blade is a tool if you use it when you're supposed to, but it's a weapon if you use it at malice. True enough, Natsuhi wasn't really drinking tea with the witch. However, saying that with the red truth probably has nothing to do with our game. Our game is the tale of October 1986. The 2 days of the crime give us more than enough time to injure each other with our red and blue blades glistening. This is about the illusion of the witch. It's about Natsuhi's privacy. How could anyone have the right to expose that? Do you want to acknowledge that a witch actually exists here and drink to Natsuhi? Weren't you trying to deny the existence of witches? That's right, if we're talking about our game, the 2-day period from October 4th to October 5th in 1986, but I have no desire to question whether or not witches exist outside of that game board. In the first place, the devil's proof argument makes it impossible to deny the existence of witches, and according to the rules of this game, saying something like what you did in red is a forbidden move that leads to a stalemate. You can't deny the existence of witches, not even with the red truth. True, I never thought I'd hear you so glibly about witches' existence. Not bad, Lambda. You've done a good job, Battler, stuck between his human and culprit theory that the idea that witches existing won't be so bad. She really excels at controlling human hearts. Looks like I better start helping you out even more. I really couldn't care less about you two. Disappear. This game is between Beato and me. We're gonna keep this game to ourselves. No way. What? After all, I'm enjoying this game too. Yeah. Burkistel disappeared, leaving only that unpleasant laugh behind. After that, all that remained was Natsuhi sipping tea all alone. Beato, her hand still on the teacup, as stared blankly at the surface of the liquid, and me. Burkistel and Lambda Delta. Virgilia called them your friends, but you really should choose your friends more carefully, or wait, maybe they actually make a good match with an ill-natured person like you. Beato didn't answer. Battler took Beato's hand, made her hold the teacup again, and brought it to her lips. Beato made a quiet sound in her throat and drank another gulp. Well, speaking of gulps, I'm going to take a quick minute and get me some water again. Okay, that was a nice quick sip of water. And the Natsuhi's alone teeny time ended. That truth which was Natsuhi's alone and observed by no one else had been defiled. And Natsuhi's words, surely, the tea party which had been peaceful despite her annoyance at Beato for making fun of her too much came to an end, and the two of them parted ways. However, in Natsuhi's exposed truth, she was all alone. Natsuhi tottered away. On the bench, only a single person's cup remained. After dashing to her bedroom, Jessica answered the phone call that had been transferred there. Hello? Sorry to keep you waiting. Battler, what did you think you're doing not contacting us before 6 years? How's it going? Oh, really? How the hell do I know? Yes, shut up. So that means you'll be coming to this year's family conference, right? I mean, it's been 6 whole years. Five businessmen in expensive suits were visiting in the parlor, giving Cross and Natsuhi a progress report on their business. Spread out on the table were the blueprints and designs for a building, as well as documents related to its expenditures and the like, so packed that even a teacup would have gotten in the way. Officially, they were here to give Cross a progress report, but in actuality, Cross had called them all the way over to Rokujima so that Natsuhi could hear from them directly. This was because Natsuhi needed to hear someone other than her husband explain what condition their business was in. In other words, even though another family conference with Kenzo was approaching, their business had not earned them any money. After telling the guests to wait for a short while, Cross took Natsuhi out into the hall and once again summarized the situation. In short, they said the work is proceeding even better than we imagined. This is where my personal connection to the governor really starts to pay off. Right now, it's absolutely impossible for this cash to get away from us. To the contrary, it's going to so big that in one go we'll be able to regain just not the power of the attorney, but everything we've lost up to this point as well. Cross spoke passionately. This would have seemed all the more suspicious to Natsuhi, but this time, at least, she'd admit that everything really did seem to be going well. Certainly, this business Cross boasted of had expanded the scope over the last year and was promising an even greater payoff than had been anticipated initially. Whether it would prove to be a winner or not, investors had gathered around it and they were rapidly gaining funds. This must be what they mean when they say money summons money. It was probably the greatest success of Cross's life so far. No, it probably would be his greatest success yet. That point was where Natsu's misgivings lay. The tree was certain, and Cross had said they wouldn't lose his catch now. However, the fish on the line had gotten too big. Well, I'll definitely be able to reel this fish in. There's no need to rush. It's such a success that I wish I could show the father if he was still alive. Yes, I know. However, I believe you made me a promise last year. You said you were surely you could manage something within a year. A pain rose to Cross's face. That certainly had a hooked fat fish guaranteed great success. However, it would require an appropriate amount of time to reel it in. No, so he pressed Cross, asking if there was any way for them to make money before this year's swimming conference. But Cross kept saying that he needed just one more year. Cross planned to use his unprecedented success catapult them into further challenges in the future. Because of this, he didn't want to do anything that would raise suspicions by making it seem like they were rushing it to get money. Certainly, fortune tends to turn against people who take it for granted, even in the slightest. Anxious beggars never prosper. On many occasions before now, Cross had gotten cold feet and sold off businesses that would surely have brought in profit that he just waited. Had in effect given away his winning picks. Natsu also knew this. She knew that guts were the thing her husband lacked most. That's why she was unable to refuse what Cross said. He wanted to prudently wait just one more year. Wonderful that things are going well. It would appear that I'll have to sit around here as a ghost for a little longer. You don't look too disappointed. You're fitted to be chewed to bits by demons the moment you leave this world. My apologies, Father. For one more year, you might not be granted peace. It is fine. Fear not, Natsuhi. I am no longer the Ushimiya family head. The ghost of the study should obediently follow the current head's commands. I've taken a look across his charts, and they aren't bad at all. Even from your perspective, Father, they are pretty good even from my perspective. They want us confident in victory, gathering together a significant quantity of magical power. As a result, that victory is growing ever deeper, involving more and more people and magic, beginning to create gold, a perfect embodiment of class alchemy. Oh, if you've earned even the Gold Witch's approval, that is very reassuring. Rejoice, Natsuhi. This business of crosses will save the Ushimiya family from its crisis without fail. Thank you very much, and if you would once again, indeed, we'll have to overcome one more family conference, won't we? Yes, I think things went well last year, but I imagine some of the relatives will find it suspicious. I think this year's conference will be a critical time. During last year's family conference, you were correct to predict that the same thing might have to happen again. Even for those who aren't witches, preparing for the worst case scenario is one of the basics for getting on in this world. So what will you do this year? Just like last year, I will see to it that a high concentration of the servants who know Father's secret are there on the day of the conference. Some of the relatives may already notice that Father isn't around. A careless show might actually put us in more danger of exposure. Indeed, it is said that too much is as bad as too little. Then what will you do? Unlike last year, I think we'll go with the plan that has you staying inside your study until the end. What would that be? That would be suitable. Barricades are straightforward and simple. A final trump card. No matter how strongly the toxins fill this mansion, as long as that closed room barrier remains around this room, it will be impossible to deny Kenzo's existence. I guarantee that myself. However, when forming the barricade, it is inevitable that you will be surrounded. I know. Even so, I beg that both of you lend us your power just one more time. I cannot disobey the orders of the new head. Furthermore, a ghost cannot disobey the orders of the living. If you tell me not to leave this room, I will obey. Thank you very much. I'm not satisfied. If you want me to lend your hand, my power, I won't listen to a mere request. Yes, you are the family alchemist, so I won't ask you for your help. I order you to help. Your magic is the one thing we can rely on. Use that power to create an illusion of Father just one more time. Very well, I hear and obey. I find your confidence quite pleasing. From the shadows of the study, Butler watched the exchange between these three. I see. So he made it to this year's family conference. Grandfather was in a bad mood, so he shut himself in the study and didn't appear in front of anyone. Hasui spoke boldly about how she would somehow overcome this year's crisis and protect the Ushiomi family's honor until the end, while Kenzo praised her, saying that her plan looked promising. Bieto also praised her, saying that Hasui's dignified confidence was even more well-suited for the headship than Cross's. However, right now, the true number of people in this room was the moment I thought that, not just because I thought it. Bieto grabbed at her chest and moaned. Don't worry, this is still outside the game board, so I won't deny you your grandfather over there. I put my hand on Bito's as he tried to hold back the pain deep inside her chest. I've already told Perkins that the 2-day period of the 1996 family conference is all I need to deny the illusion of the witch. In the last game, he said and read that grandfather's dead at the start time for all games. However, you never mentioned whether grandfather was alive or dead before the start time for the games. In short, even if grandfather exists in this place right now, that doesn't create any contradictions. My hand touching her let off a faint blue light, which seeped into her chest, so the light tenderly wrapped itself around the splinters on Bito's chest. And I also kept denied the existence of Beatrice in this place. The number of people on this island outside the game board, in other words, before October 1986 head up, it proclaimed in red. Therefore, there's nothing strange about Beatrice existing here. Beatrice's expression softened slightly. My blue light slowly began to melt the red splinters of the night delusion of the witch. Beatrice still wore the same sad expression, but she lifted her face and looked at me straight in the eye. Though she was still in her eyes, told me that her pain had subsided. The feeling that showed in her eyes was gratitude for taking the pain away, and appreciation, or was it surprise over leaving a tiny bit of leeway for witches to exist? Unable to look directly at those pure eyes of hers, I reflexively averted my gaze. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't plan on accepting the existence of witches or surrendering. I just want to let that part slide and fight stoically, so that I can win this game against you. I have no desire to bully you outside the game board as well. Bieto hung her head. I was still facing away from her. However, we waited wordlessly for a while, my hand still on hers. By now, no one could believe that this sad-eyed woman was the same person as that prideful Bieto. So I asked once more, even though I said it was loud, it was a question to her. I was asking myself, just what in the world were you thinking? That's right, even though this is Lemda's game, I have to find you here. I have to find what you thought and what you were trying to do. Very soon this game will also reach October 4th, 1986, and the 5th game will finally begin, and this time I'll reach the end of that journey. I'm not worried about the surface level stuff like murders and tricks. What did the Golden Witch Beatrice think, and why did you do what you did? What were you hoping for? That's what I'm gonna find out. That's right, I already know how I can reach the end of the journey. It's been made clear to me since the very beginning. This time I'll spin the chessboard around. I'll read this down not from my side, but from yours. And this time I'll understand you. I'll pick my way to your heart. I won't let you feel pain. Don't worry. I won't let those witches use you as a toy anymore. Bieto looked up at me again, gave a small nod. That's right. The position of the Game Master might have been snatched up by Lambda Delta. However, as long as I continue this contest with the intent of fighting against Bieto, our fight will continue no matter who controls the game board. Very soon the curtain will rise on our game. I need a sip of water real quick. Okay, here we go. At this year's family conference, we must conceal the master secret once again. Yes, I understand. I'm a little doubtful that the same trick will work twice. Madame shares your concerns. Because of that, it was decided that this year he will not leave the study even once. In other words, we'll make it seem like he's been shut away in his study the whole time? Yes, and the only ones allowed to enter the study are the three of us. The service permitted to wear the one-winged eagle, which means the three of us will have to perpetuate the lie about master. Correct. The relatives will probably question you about the master's health and mood. Make sure you answer without hesitation and sit that nothing is seen as suspicious. Yes, I understand. I'm sure you'll screw up right away, Nissan. Maybe it's better to say you have a cold or something so you can skip that day. That's mean. Kaden wasn't just making fun of her. He only wanted to release Shannon from the burden of working on this most serious of days. Genji-sama, is it really necessary for Shannon to be on duty? We can manage things well enough without her. That I cannot do. Madame gave strict orders that the three of us be scheduled to work on that day. Yes, I am prepared to perform my duty successfully. Don't screw up. I won't. Shannon grew sullen and Cannon shrugged, and Genji told him that they weren't taking this seriously enough. Shannon Cannon, the master we serve, has already passed away. However, until he has truly passed on, we will continue to serve. That study is not empty. The master's still there, hard at work on his usual research. Make sure you take that to the heart. Yes, Genji-sama. Ooh, where are we at now? Father has already passed away? That's insane. Settle down. It's only an impossibility. It's well known that Takeda Shingen said it in his will that his death was to be kept secret for 3 years. Know about that? Is that how it went? My Japanese history isn't so great. At the time, Takeda was in the middle of a war with Oda and Tokugawa. If people learned about his death at a time like that, he probably have a bad impact on the war. Because of that, he left the will saying that his death should be kept hidden for 3 years. Hideyoshi did the same thing, right? He totally suppressed information about the death of his master, Oda Nobunaga, so that the enemy wouldn't find out. Quickly made peace with Mori and defeated Akichi in the Battle of Yamazaki. On the other hand, Shibata Katsui failed at this. The enemy, Usugi, learned about Nobuyuki's death, so Shibata had to deal with the unexpected counterattack and got slowed down. That's why later on he suffered a great loss against Hideyoshi in the fight for secession. Hideyoshi, who had a strong fascination with the commanders of Sengoku period, would always show off his knowledge when he got the chance. Wincing slightly, Eva made him get back to his point. So basically the whole time since last year's family conference, I felt as though something was strange. You mean time when Rudolph and I were talking about the inheritance and Father overheard us from the hall? That's just it. Natsui's son in the sermons kept saying Father was here or there, and that he seemed to be in a bad mood. Well, not a single one of us relatives saw Father, right? If what you're saying, thinking is right, what does that mean? Does that mean Nissan's trying to keep all of the inheritance for himself? Of course, hiding someone's death is a very dangerous thing to do, and all things considered, I'm not sure Cross-Sun would be willing to do it just to have the inheritance to himself. But it is possible. Well, it's true that Nissan had always been greedy. He always used to take the things that were meant for all the siblings and keep them all for himself. Cross-Sun is supposed to be the richest of the siblings. Cross-Sun scamming to keep the inheritance all to himself to the point of accepting the risk of hiding Father's death. Sounds like a tad unbelievable to me. Even so, Lester's family conference was so strange I can't help but wonder. Even the others were painfully aware of how reckless it would be to try and see Kinzo when he was in a bad mood, so during Lester's family conference, once they heard about Kinzo getting into a terrible mood, they never made an attempt to contact him. That was why to this very day they hadn't found it suspicious that Kinzo had never appeared. It certainly is worth suspecting, but I wonder if Nissan really would do something as appalling as hiding Father's death. For all his pride, that man has a coward side to him. Would he really make such a once-in-a-lifetime bet? Either way, it'd probably be a good idea to make sure we get a chance to meet with Father during this year's conference. The rumors are really bad. Sounds like Eniki's business is failing even worse than we'd imagined. Like he's taking massive losses and he's giving it all he's just got just to try and cover it up. That'll make it very difficult to borrow money from him. Yeah, I could cry. I wouldn't being a financial stress also weaken Cross-Sun's position in certain ways. Weaken his position. Well, investors tend to have a keen eye. If they hear that he's actually low on funds, they won't want to have anything to do with him. I guess trust is the most important part of that business. Kari smiled thinly. Rudolph was taken aback by that smile. He figured that his plan, which involved raising money to get him out of his current mess by borrowing from the affluent Cross, would all come to nothing now that they knew Cross himself was in financial trouble. Confidence in Cross-Sun's ability might be a requirement for his own business in the future, but it isn't necessary for our future. Are you suggesting that I blackmail him? I wouldn't want to if it were me. For one blessed sibling to make another one down, take another one down. It's no laughing matter. Hee. Rudolph felt a shiver go up his spine as Kari's cold smile. At times, Kari was able to throw away all compassion and think in an extremely ruthless manner. Whenever he saw that, Rudolph knew he never liked to have her as his enemy. I'd rather not threaten only son if we had any other way to get money. If there were another way, we wouldn't be worrying. Don't you think it's a bit pathetic to waste time worrying about a problem when you have no other options. Rudolph stopped talking and folded his arms and lowered his gaze. He still felt some of the terror he experienced thanks to Cross's violence when they were young. And now that Sam Cross was the one he needed to threaten. Rudolph would also be fighting against his childhood trauma, so to give her husband a little push, Carrie smiled reassuringly and perhaps coldly. I've never been a fan of doing work based on trust. It takes hard to work build up trust and only an instant to lose it. There's so less profitable investment. You're right. All the trust in the world isn't worth a good banknote. Even though Cross' son has been talking of massive losses, you have to be capable of gathering enough money to buy us some time. Or to buy, yeah, but of course he'd probably be forced to cash in all the trust he's built up so far. This is going to get ugly. Well, we'll have to prepare sufficiently. We haven't been given any time or room for failure, isn't that right? Among my Kyoto friends, I know a few who are talented at this sort of investigation. I'd rather not be indebted to people like that, but you do want to try meeting them. You can't expect people like that to offer you receipts, but I'm sure they'll dig up something that makes them worth the investment. Okay, guys, I think I'm ending the video here. I'm getting pretty sleepy, so I'm gonna, close this video and go to bed or something. I will see you guys next time.